Alright, so I've had the GoPro Hero 10 for a little while now, and today I want to specifically talk about what it's like to vlog on this tiny little camera. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Desmond, and I make content for creators that want to take better photos and shoot better videos. And if you haven't already, I would check out my initial thoughts on the GoPro Hero 10. But in this video, I want to run through what it's actually like to vlog on this tiny little camera. So we're gonna do some vlogging tests. I'm gonna talk about the pros and cons and the limitations of something like the GoPro. Okay, so we're officially switching over to the GoPro Hero 10 for the vlogging portion of this video. Couple things to note, right? I am not using any external microphone. I'm using the built-in GoPro Hero 10 mic. That's what I want to test this on. No media mod, nothing. Settings that I'm going to be filming on, for the most part, it's going to be 5.3K, 30 frames per second, and right now it's the widest field of view. I'll probably switch that between wide and linear, or linear and horizon leveling, as we kind of test the rest of the capabilities. But right now, this is what you're seeing. GoPro Hero 10, 5.3K, 30 frames per second at the widest field of view. One of the other things you'll notice is I still have all of my studio lighting on. Later, when we take this outside and into different parts, we're gonna see how the GoPro does in different lighting conditions. I have the ISO set to auto. Basically, what it is a minimum of 100 ISO up to 400. That's where I'm gonna leave it. That's where it's gonna be, and we'll see how this thing performs. And like I've mentioned before, when you've got that ISO locked in dimly lit situations, it's going to adjust the shutter speed. And the shutter speed being too low is really gonna impact this hypersmooth. Once it gets darker, once it gets dimmer, the hypersmooth is really going to struggle. Okay, we've made a move. We are currently in my garage. You can obviously see one of my cars behind me. Got the home gym. I'm gonna take a few steps back because I've got the garage door open, right? One of the nice things about this camera is when you've got lots of natural light, the hypersmooth is gonna be incredible. The camera does a great job of managing the light via ISO and shutter speed. But once you get into these like dimmer parts, you'll notice maybe the hypersmooth might suffer a bit. I think we've still got enough natural light in here where it's not a problem, but one of the other things I want you to listen for is the audio quality. All right, and now you'll notice I've like turned away from our primary light source, and you're probably gonna see that I'm in a pretty dark spot right now. Like I said, I set the ISO maximum pretty low because I don't want to introduce a lot of noise into the GoPro. Unfortunately with the GoPro, once you get above like 8 to 1000 ISO, you're gonna see a lot of noise in your footage. But I don't think we're impacting the shutter speed too much just yet. But let's take a step outside and we'll see how this thing does. Also, let's listen for like sound quality outside with wind and other elements. Okay, so right now we are outside taking a walk around the neighborhood. It is very, very sunny out, which means the lighting should be really good. I think the only thing to listen for now is like the audio and the background noise that's coming in. So like cars driving by, wind if there's any, there's construction that's happening. So I think getting an idea of like how I sound is important, especially for a vlogging setup that's this light and compact. Audio is gonna suffer for the most part. And I think one of the things to notice as well is like it is very, very bright out, and I'm moving between shade and tree cover. So I just want to see how the camera does in like very direct sunlight. I can tell that I'm pretty blown out in terms of like lighting. Okay, so right now I'm moving into a pretty consistently shaded area. I think the nice thing again about this tiny little camera is just hyper smooth. I think it does an incredible job of keeping things very stable. Even though I'm walking at a pretty quick pace, I think it's hard to tell that this thing is being handheld. One of the things that I always found challenging with a vlog setup is like if I wanted a good stable shot like this, I would have to throw my ZV-1 on a tiny little gimbal, which I have, and I think it works great, but it still actually makes that package pretty large. All right, so what I want you to notice is as I move into this like much brighter area, now we're starting to see a lot of like blowing out of highlights. The sun is coming down directly on me. Now in the second test, I've switched the GoPro Hero 10 from the widest field of view to a linear field of view with horizon leveling. Again, if you're not familiar with it, the linear field of view gives you a more classic look. There's less distortion and there's less like hyper wide angles happening here. I think it looks pretty good. I don't have to extend my arm too far out. But again, a couple things to notice, right? It's like horizon leveling is on. I'm tilting my arm left and right. It's holding this thing really well and really steady. And then also, see if you can hear the cars driving by, right? How's the audio sound? Can you hear me talking well? Are you picking up any wind? That's probably gonna be the biggest challenge, especially if you're trying to use this for semi-professional content. You're gonna run into audio challenges. So I would probably recommend picking up the media mod with a wireless Go 2. That's gonna give you the best possible audio quality while keeping the package relatively small. Mounting a shotgun mic to this really doesn't make a lot of sense for me, considering I bought this to have it be a lot more compact than my ZV-1 and definitely my FX3. Okay, so I'm out of direct sunlight. Let's do another run test. Horizon leveling is on. This is the linear field of view. Getting into a pretty bright spot. Probably lots of blown out highlights. Okay, I think that's probably enough running to give you a sense of what that hyper smooth with horizon leveling looks like. I'm pretty impressed with it, honestly. Okay, so we are inside my car. A lot more quiet in here, probably a little bit of echo, but again, keep an ear out for like the audio. One thing I love about the GoPro Hero 10 as a vlogging setup is actually one of the accessories I use all the time, and that is a snap mount. So you're seeing this little like green piece here and this little magnetic mount. That's the best thing about this setup. I have a magnetic mount on my GoPro and it allows me to easily clip this to different accessories. So the best thing is when I'm going to switch from a handheld situation to say in the car, I've got a suction cup on my windshield that I can actually just easily mount and adjust my GoPro to. All right, so one of the things I really love about that snap mount system I was just talking about is just how convenient it really is to move from like the mini tripod to my windshield suction cup to a helmet mount to a magnetic chest mount. It's definitely something I never take off the GoPro at this point because I've added those magnetic mounting points to all of my favorite accessories, including the suction cup. But one of the things you'll also notice too is like, we're in a pretty bright situation. Again, it's like midday, I'm driving on the road, not a lot of tree coverage. The GoPro still handles that movement between shaded areas and bright areas really, really well. It feels pretty smooth. And again, to the testament of Hypersmooth 4.0, we have this jittery kind of like ride. I think under most circumstances, if you've got a regular camera mounted to the windshield on a kind of like flexible suction cup mount, you're gonna catch a lot of that jitter, but I've got this thing on the linear field of view with the horizon leveling set. So I'm assuming when I look at this in post-production, this is gonna be a very smooth recording and a smooth clip, even though I can see the GoPro kind of jittering and bouncing around as I start and stop the vehicle and as I roll over some like bumpy areas. Another thing to call out is obviously when you're in pretty controlled situations like this in a car, controlling the audio, I don't have music playing, it's pretty well insulated, not a lot of like outside noises making its way in. The audio is probably going to sound pretty good. Again, I'll check in post-production whether or not I can hear the engine sounds or the wind noise, but I'm assuming that's not the case. Now, when you take this thing outside and it is a lot windier, that's when you're gonna pick up all the wind sounds that hit the internal microphones on this. And again, something I would recommend is probably that media mod, right? Being able to have that added to your GoPro Hero 10, then giving you the ability to really plug in, say, wireless Go 2, a tiny little like deity shotgun mic would be a great option. Those things do work, but for me, I'm just a big fan of going with nothing if possible. And for those of you that are familiar with my content, you know that I'm a big proponent of high quality audio. So even when I'm doing like vlogging or run and gun shooting, I've got either my FX3 or, my A7R4 or even my ZV-1, but I have an external microphone plugged in. So it's, my Rode VideoMic NTG or my brand new Sony ECM B1M shotgun microphone. I've always got some type of external audio because I'm a big proponent of just high quality audio. But when I'm shooting and vlogging with the GoPro Hero 10, it is a different mindset. And I know that when I'm using this camera, it's about capturing all those moments in between, all the footage, all the memories and things that are happening where I don't have time or I don't want to pull out a larger camera, right? It's almost a situation where you would pull out an iPhone and use your iPhone to record something to that sort. But what I really love about the GoPro is it's actually smaller than my phone. I love the video quality a lot better, and it's the hyper smooth, right? The stabilization for those action shots, for chasing the kids, for filming when I'm like on the go, that ecosystem of mounts and accessories is something that's hard to beat with the GoPro brand. Okay, with that said, the GoPro as a quick and dirty vlogging setup is perfect, right? You've got the incredible stabilization, no need for a gimbal. You've got great color profiles right out of camera. I love the natural look and the colors there. I might do some tweaking in post-production sometimes. And then you've got generally pretty good audio, especially in controlled environments. Obviously, it's going to change when we're outside, but I really love using this as a transitional vlogging camera. So again, hopping into my car, being able to mount it on the windshield, being able to take this out for bike rides, mounting it to a helmet. Obviously, you get your classic action camera shots. Now, if you want to step things up, throwing on that media mod, tossing on a wireless Go 2, and then having this as an action vlogging camera would be perfect, especially in situations where I'm definitely not going to be using my FX3 or even my ZV-1 because those are a lot more delicate and more expensive cameras. I think this is going to sit really well in my vlogging setup overall, right? I'll have my FX3 for my general video making, filmmaking, and cinematography stuff, vlogging, talking head style. But when I'm in transit, when I'm moving between locations, when I'm on the go, or when I need a more inconspicuous option, the GoPro is perfect. There may be times where I whip out the ZV-1, but now that I've kind of got the GoPro Hero 10, I'm using that a lot less and less. Video quality on this is incredible. It's still a small sensor, totally fine, but that hyper smooth 4.0 is just amazing. And it's absolutely impossible to recreate on an FX3 or a ZV-1 without a gimbal. So something like this definitely fits into my work stream, fits into my pocket, which is incredible. But I would highly recommend this for vlogging. And if you really want to step it up, grab your media mod, you will be perfectly good to go. Okay, so now that we're back in the office, a few things to call out from my vlogging experience so far. The first one is, yes, form factor on this thing is incredible. I really do love how easy it is to pull out, turn on, and also how inconspicuous it is, right? So you can walk into Disney on Ice, you can walk into the zoo, you can go places where professional cameras setups aren't allowed, and they'll always turn a blind eye to the GoPro. So this is something that just gives you more access, and I love that about this. Another thing to note is that I didn't opt for the media mod. I really wanted to test this thing without any additional audio equipment. There are options. You can get the GoPro 10 media mod. You can add a Rode wireless Go 2, which will give you incredible audio. You can add different shotgun mics to it if you want, but I wanted to try to keep this package as small as possible. And then another thing you'll probably notice from my vlogging setup was that I used the snap mount, which is the magnetic mounting system for the GoPros. I really like it because it just, again, allows me to switch between, say, the handheld tripod to my in-car dash view to a chest-mounted version. So that also makes that vlogging experience really easy. So going from handheld to mounted in seconds. And then my final thought about this as a vlogging camera is, again, it's not gonna be your end all be all for vlogging. Really depends on your quality tolerance. What type of content do you wanna put out there? What level of quality are you looking to put out there? For me, this is wonderful for on the go, quick vlogging. Also when I wanna create a more immersive feeling for viewers. And then the other thing is I always use this for all of my family videos. So when I'm out with the kids, when we take them to the park, Halloween parade, which is happening later, I'm gonna bring this and not one of my giant cameras. So this is just a great camera to capture any moments in between, moments where you don't have time to whip out an FX3 and a lens. This is actually a perfect camera for that. And the thing that's most important to me about this setup is, even though it's so tiny, the Hyper Smooth 4.0 is amazing at stabilizing footage. That's the thing that always made it tough for me bringing around these smaller vlogging cameras. So even with my ZV-1 that has steady shot, it's tough getting those really steady action shots as well as running, walking, vlogging shots. This camera really gives you super smooth footage. It is an action camera, which is what I use it most for, but when I want to vlog, this thing is perfect for that. All right, and that is it for my vlogging review of the Hero 10. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We are on that path to 1,000, which I'm hoping we get there soon. Thank you so much for the support. I will see y'all in the next one.